Welcome to Mental Health in Focus, brought to you by Flow Vector Systems. We're passionate technologists dedicated to helping businesses get started and thrive with AI integrated solutions. Find flow state in your business. Now let's move on with the podcast.
All right. Well, good morning, Jen. It's really great to see you again, and I've been looking forward to this talk. You have a different perspective on mental health that I haven't covered in any of the podcasts yet, and so I'm really interested to get your perspective and learn more about you and your business. For everyone, this is Jen Uschold, and she's going to talk us through her work in physical therapy and how that relates to mental health, and we'll explore some other avenues there as well. So Jen, I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm super excited and honored to be here as well. Yes, I am Jen Uschold, and I have been a physical therapist for just a little bit of time, 35 years. This is my 35th year since I graduated. And I have always been very passionate about helping people. Even in my very first job, I took the framework of it is my job to help you help yourself. So I've never been that doer caregiver. I'm more the empowering caregiver. And in my first job, I had a client who I will not forget, and he had something at the time, it was called reflex sympathetic dystrophy. Now it's called complex regional pain syndrome, but it is debilitating pain, and it was in his hand, and we couldn't touch him. He couldn't move it, and I didn't know how to help him. And he was a very nice man, and it never left me. Now, the other side of that is that I cared, and I did the best I could. So now we're going to fast forward to maybe 2012, 2013, and I started to do a deep dive into pain science, and I started to learn there is so much more to pain than what most of us learned in school. And honestly, most of us are still using a model that is 380 years old. And so as I started to learn, I also realized that trust in a clinician and a communicative relationship can actually benefit the client more than the skills of the clinician. So if I had a do-over, I might want to go give those clients my first 5 years their money back. On the other hand, many of them got better, and I now realize I didn't have stellar skill. I was a new grad, but I did have care and compassion. And so I started this deep dive in pain science. And at the same time, I started to do a deeper dive into coaching. So I've completed several different certifications. I've completed a fellowship in pain science. And so now it is my mission to help people overcome pain, the pain that doesn't make sense, the pain that's been there for years and even decades. And it all starts with knowledge and understanding. And our knowledge has exploded in recent decades. We're just having trouble disseminating it to the people who need it. That's why I'm here.
Great. Well, I hope we can help out with that. I think it's fantastic. I think there's, from a mental health perspective, sometimes you don't know why you're feeling a certain way. And it could be a trigger from any sort of thing, right? It could be something that triggered some memory from when you were a child. It could be something that's, close to your heart, and something happens and you don't know why it happens, but it triggers you a feeling of maybe depression or anxiety or something. And I think pain could be there as well. We were talking a little bit about physical symptoms like, sort of a irritable bowel syndrome or neck pain and random headaches and things like that. And I thought that was fascinating, and I wanted to dig more into that, but I don't want to get ahead of you. So I'll let you continue.
I love the back and forth. So if I say something that inspires a question, I'm going to say, let's go down that rabbit hole, if that works for you and your audience. However, what you just said, it is a Friday that we're recording. And my fun fact on a Friday for you is that your brain processes 11 million pieces of information every second, and its job is to protect you. So we could do the quick math, but that's a lot of zeros. And so often we get caught up in trying to figure out, why do I have this pain? Why am I having this flare? Why am I so anxious or depressed or whatever it might be? And you know what? Sometimes we can figure it out. You just hit your thumb with a hammer. Yep, We know why. However, what's more important is to understand how your system works to protect you, and then understand how sometimes it protects you too well. And once you have that framework of knowledge, this opens you up to the dozens of ways that are all evidence-based that you can calm that nervous system down. And what does that do? It decreases pain, it increases function, it improves digestion, it improves sleep, and yes, it improves mental health. So a direct, quick little tie-in for you with mental health is that you look at the signs and symptoms of moderate depression and pain, they're very similar. And then if you look at the treatments that are non-pharmacological and non-surgical, they're almost exactly the same. So it's a beautiful thing because there's a lot of cross diagnoses and experiences that we use a lot of the same treatments to get to the same end goal for that unique patient.
Interesting. Yeah, you got me thinking about pain management doctors and pharmaceuticals, and like back pain is something I've experienced in the past, and I had a herniated disc, so that made sense. I treated that with shots. They got some shots into the back that sort of decreased the swelling, and so things got better. And as long as I keep my core nice and strong, my back is fine. So there's kind of two things that happen there, right? It's like, okay, decrease the inflammation, and then the physical aspect, keep yourself strong in the core so that you're not always slouching and other things that might interrupt that area.
Are we entertaining pain myths today?
I would love to.
So I'm going to start by saying I am thrilled that the injection worked for you. And I love that you mentioned 2 injections.
This is the second one. The first one did nothing.
Interesting. We could go down that rabbit hole too. Let's stay here for a moment. So you mentioned it helped with the inflammation. So yes, that assistance with bringing the inflammation down probably did far more for the symptoms you were feeling than changing anything in the disc itself. So we have a lot of information and research that if you and I, what's your favorite grocery store?
We'll call it Ralph's for now.
Ralph's. So if you and I were to go to Ralph's today, I mean, it's going to take me 3 days to walk to your house, but nonetheless, if we go to Ralph's today and we just pull 10 people who do not have back pain and we throw them in a scanner, 4 of them are going to have a bulge or a disc or something positive on their MRI. And the key point here is no pain. And logically, we have pain, we have a scan, we have decided that A plus B equals C. However, what we have on the scan is merely information because pain is so much more complex than what we see on the scan. That is a conversation that is a delicate one, and it depends where they are in their journey of breaking apart the fact that pain and tissue damage are synonyms. Now, I also heard you say, if you keep a strong core, your back feels great. I am thrilled that you have found a way to keep your back feeling good. However, we have tons of people who have been told, strengthen your core and your pain will go away. And it just doesn't go away. And there's a couple different reasons why for you it might work. And remember, we still have the 11 million pieces of information showing up uniquely for each person. But what's great is that when you're doing core exercises, you are creating movement and blood flow. And in that blood flow, the nerves can calm down. And when the nerves calm down, we are less likely to cross that pain threshold in the brain because it is an output of the brain. The other cool thing that I learned more recently, and I love it, is that a lot of core exercises are isometric. Should we describe that for your audience, what isometric is?
Yep.
Okay, so isometric is a muscle contraction where there's no movement. So if anybody in the audience just makes a fist, you feel those muscles working, that's an isometric contraction. So isometrics are fabulous because we have cool research that shows it makes changes in the central nervous system. One study in particular, they were looking at volleyball players who had shoulder pain and I think maybe neck pain. all they did was a wall sit. Remember those from high school?
Oh yeah, I still
So
feel.
we're not even using the muscles near the source of where they're feeling the pain, and it eased their symptoms. So it's local. It's also a lot of that central mechanism.
Interesting. Yeah. Now you've got my mind going down another rabbit hole.
Go ahead if you want to. It's your show.
I would just love to hear your perspective on this, because it's so unique, and this has sort of baffled me in the past. So I'd seen chiropractors my whole life, and I went to a specialized chiropractor who I would call it more touch therapy than any sort of manipulation, joint manipulation.
Okay.
And so you'd lay on a typical chiropractic bed, or like a massage bed, and calming music playing, incense, and he'd clap his hands, rub them, and then he would just reach down and just touch one spot on your shoulder, and then he'd like find the energy and touch one spot on your lower back and tell you to breathe into that spot. And like it was very low touch, and very, I would say, mental. It was more mental work as you're breathing into these places and focusing on these places. And I would say in my experience, I experienced the same amount of relief I would get from joint manipulation. And it baffled me. I never understood why. But I've taken that technique with me over time, where if I'm feeling pain in my knee, I will breathe into my knee and breathe out of my knee, which is kind of a weird thing to think about. But I find that level of focus, sort of physically and mentally, it helps.
Yes. So is there a question in particular?
I'm just curious, your thoughts on that phenomenon, right? Versus a joint manipulation, which is a violent move and a crack, versus touch, breathe, focus.
All right. There's a lot of different pieces to that. So we do have research that if somebody is in an acute stage of back pain and there's a skilled provider who can do the snap, crackle, pop, this gives them wonderful relief. And if we have a way to create quick relief that's legitimate and not flaring them, we want to do that, because the best way to prevent chronic pain is to properly address acute pain. And now the opposite is also true, though. If you have somebody who is in a pain state, we have 3 different types of pain that we talk about. And if they are in the second or third bucket, so to speak, doing that snap, crackle, pop is actually going to make them worse. And so I also hear you saying that it sounds like you had a good relationship with this chiropractor, so you had trust in that provider. Let's digress for a moment. How long do you think it takes to develop trust in a new provider? And this has been studied.
Yeah, I think I would say on average, probably 3 or 4 visits.
It's going to blow your mind. Are you ready?
Yeah.
0.1 seconds. Right?
Okay.
Right. So the way we show up as providers makes a huge impact on how our clients do. So I'm going to guess that you trusted that chiropractor pretty much right out of the gate. I love how she brought in sensory things, brought in some smell, brought in some sounds, and all of these things are ways that we can calm the nervous system down. He was setting you up for success. I don't know the technique specifically. I don't know the research on it, but however, the way you're describing it, I can absolutely see how it worked. Now, placebo. Are you familiar with the power of placebo? Holy moly, this is great. Let's enhance the power of placebo, as long as we're not charging people for snake oil. I'm very strongly opposed to snake oil. And so there are several reasons that I think you did well with that technique, revolving how he set it up, your relationship with him, your expectation, the fact that your system was not so flared that it was going to reject that, because some of my clients, I can't even touch them. I had a client once, it was her foot. I literally did not touch her foot for 6 months. So all of our treatments involve the other 3 limbs because that was the only way we could start to get her system to calm down.
Interesting. So with all of that, you have these multiple types of pain. You have, sort of multiple ways that you can address that pain. And that could be through some sort of calming of the nervous system, which I would think in mental health therapy is a lot of what is focused on, right? Is like, okay, let's get your thinking correct. Let's get you thinking on the right track and focused on the right thing and understanding how to reframe things and that sort of thing. And then the physical manipulation aspect, and then sort of a therapeutic aspect that maybe takes place over time. I'm not sure where I wanted to go with that, but I wanted to tie it back to mental health a little bit, just because we're talking about, sort of physical pain and how that's manifesting, and how that's dealt with. So that was kind of my attempt at tying it back.
Okay. There are these 3 buckets, but every single person has elements of each bucket. And the most, I don't want to say most intense, but people who tend to have the most symptoms and struggle the most, there is a big psychological component to that bucket. For anybody that's out there, it's called central sensitization. It's a big, long word. And so remembering that maybe somebody's pie piece of that bucket is only 5%, and the other 2 are split. And then that informs the clinician, what treatments do we want to try? And then the pie shifts as we go through. So with any luck, that central big piece of pie is shrinking, and then we're getting into the other 2 areas. And that then continues to inform our treatment decisions. Now, we know that there are 3 things that we need to do to help people in pain. The first one is education. Unfortunately, people know what pain feels like. They know how it is impacting their system in their life, but they don't understand how it works. So I don't know if we said this the other day, but if you and I suddenly were told we had to do cardiothoracic surgery tomorrow, it would not go well because we don't have the knowledge and we don't have the experience. So it breaks my heart that we are asking people to navigate serious, significant pain, mental and physical. By the way, they always go together. We cannot separate them. And they don't have a knowledge base. So the work we do, the first part, I've created the acronym Empower You. The E is education. And that is a huge piece. If you want, we can go through one of our top stories. And then the M is movement, because movement is essential for mental health as well as physical health to calm the nervous system down. And then the last one is the P, which is powering down the nervous system. This is where we have so much choice. We have more than 22 evidence-based strategies, and safe environment is one of them. Manual therapy is one of them. Things like laughter, journaling, isometrics, sleep, goals. So all of these things put the client in the driver's seat. You don't want to work on nutrition? Okay. You're ready to work on sleep? Let's go. Because the more we can truly give them autonomy and empower them in their journey, they are more likely to succeed.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
It does. Yeah. And it makes a ton of sense. As you're talking through those things, I'm thinking about my own journey, and, those are all things I'm working on, right? And not all of them at the same time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Because too much input also overwhelms the nervous system. Does that show up as an IBS flare? Does that show up as neck pain? Does that show up as avoidance and anxiety? It's different for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's awesome. I think we got a little sidetracked there, but it's a fun conversation, and it's fascinating. I love the knowledge base that you have. You're teaching me things the whole time we're talking here, so I love it. So maybe let's jump back to your connection with the mental health system. Now, do you typically work with therapists or psychiatrists or other folks when you're working with a patient that has sort of maybe an issue that you say has more of a mental health component to it?
Absolutely. So
Mm.
I have assessments. I do some depression assessments, and depending on the scores, I wouldn't say often, but I am encouraging them. Hey, this is a situation. It's outside of my scope. We need someone else on your team. And so this is when they might find a psychologist or a psychiatrist or counselor of any type. And I love when I find the mental health providers who want to work with me. Sometimes we get a little siloed, but more and more, I'm finding more providers that really want to have our work complement each other. And not too long ago, I had a counselor, a psychologist refer one of her clients, and now the client just fired me. I'd love to get fired because they're doing well. And the counselor didn't even know. She's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know she was doing so great. I haven't seen her in weeks because of XYZ. And it's really exciting because this psychologist is very, very protective. I love how protective she is of her clients. And at the same time, we never went anywhere near why she was seeing the psychologist. It wasn't necessary.
Right.
We were able to take where she was right now and help her understand. And then she chose the strategies to help herself get to the next level.
That's fantastic. And I think that concept of connected care across providers is something sorely lacking in the industry. I love that you have folks that you're working with and are able to help people from multiple perspectives. I think that that's got to be a frustration for everyone who's dealing with any sort of an issue where you have to see multiple providers. Just that communication loop just doesn't exist, and then it's all on you, right? To talk about your interactions with these other providers and.
Correct.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right. And you're already dealing, you as the client are already dealing with so much. To then have to be your own advocate, that's just one more thing that's ticking the box of sensitivity in the nervous system.
Yeah.
Whereas if we can all come together for you, the client is the winner. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, I think like we mentioned when we spoke last, I have some systematic ideas on that from a technology perspective, and definitely going to explore that a little further.
Yeah, I am curious to watch that grow.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about a patient and talk about, here's someone who has this physical pain, recognizes some mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and they just don't know where to go. They don't know where to start. Let's say they call a psychologist and they get put on a 6-month wait list, right? And they're like, I don't know what to do. Where do I start? What's your recommendation for that, persona?
The recommendation is curiosity, because people don't realize that pain neuroscience education is out here. And so if you don't know something exists, you're never going to find it. And
Right.
That's where, we, the providers, need to do a better job of getting it out there. And at the same time, somehow generating more curiosity in the clients. Because many times in their journey, they're like, I am done. I'm going to live with this pain the rest of my life. I'm going to be stuck on medications. I don't want to be on medication. So they end up like just bouncing back and forth because they try and get off, and then that flares. We call that like the roundabout of pain. So honestly, there are good websites to learn. I have a lot of information on my website and on LinkedIn, but getting curious about how pain actually works is a tremendous first step. And being open to consider that maybe some of your knowledge around pain is a faulty belief. It's not faulty. It's been informed by your experiences and culture, but it's not helpful. A lot of these myths about pain actually make pain worse.
Interesting. Yeah, that sort of triggers me to where I was a year ago in the mental health space. Was, I don't need a therapist. Psychiatrist just wants to push drugs down my throat. Like, I'm just gonna keep pushing everything down and gut it out, right? and so that was my thought. And then, yoga or meditation or mindfulness. Why would I ever I would never do that, right? And once I finally hit my breaking point, I said, I'm open to all that stuff. Let's try everything, right? And so I leaned in hard and I tried it all and found benefit in all of it. And I think that being open, maybe it takes a little something to kick you over the edge of being open. And that was it for me. And man, what a wonderful experience. Since like surrendering to, hey, I didn't know what the heck I was talking about.
Yeah. The code I'd like to crack, and maybe you can help me, is how do we get people curious before they get to that end?
Yeah.
How do we catch them before they hit the bottom of the well?
Yeah, and that's a fantastic question. I think that there's so many different ways that has to be approached, and marketing is one way, right? I mean, just going hard with a marketing campaign. It worked wonders for the tobacco industry and getting people to stop smoking. Much fewer people smoke now, I think, than 20 years ago with all these ads on TV.
Yeah, so Australia, they are really way ahead of us. A lot of the tremendous researchers come out of Australia. They've had billboard campaigns. Got back pain? It's okay. Everybody does. Got neck pain? It's normal. And they have disentangled pain and tissue damage. And normalized pain is normal. Living in pain is not. And they have a fraction of the challenges with litigation around car accidents because people know we have accidents, we get hurt, we heal. Well, here it's a big to-do. We got to get insurance involved. We got to get the cops involved. So I love what you're saying about a massive marketing campaign. You fund it, I'll do it. Just kidding. Because we already know there's a path of success with that in Australia.
In Australia, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'd love to learn more about that. I think that, getting the messaging right and putting it somewhere where someone can actually see it is really interesting. And, thinking about digital media and how we get messages out today versus, even 5 years ago is so much different. So
that's a good point, because this thing in Australia was probably 8-10 years ago, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new billboard is Instagram and everything else, right? So that's where everyone's.
I have a client, he's awesome, and I tell him all the time, I'm like, I want to put you on a billboard. He's like, Jen, it's 2026. Why do you want to put me on a billboard? And I'm like, oh, so apparently I want to put him on social media.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see, an audience of hundreds or an audience of millions, hundreds of millions. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, so that's an interesting topic. I would love to do some more thinking on that. And I think awareness is such an important thing, because my biggest challenge in getting mental health was trying to talk to a psychiatrist first and getting the hand saying 6 months before we can see you. We're fully booked up. I'm like, I need help right now. And so I just struggled my way through it until I finally broke, and then went to a treatment program, and then found therapy and all these other things. And okay, now I can navigate this journey. But man, I wish I would have found the right path just a little bit before all that crap happened.
Right. We don't want people to have to go through that path.
Yeah.
And I don't know the solution yet, but I believe it's out there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that have to happen, and breaking stigma and education are at the top of that list, I think.
Yeah, I love how you said awareness, because as important as education is, I can't educate someone until they first have the awareness to get curious to talk with me. Yep. And our education research is strong. We have over 36 meta-analyses and systematic reviews telling us that when we teach people about pain, they have less pain. All these different variables, and it's very cool. And then the second very important thing to say is that knowledge and education is not a standalone treatment. There are people who like ding pain science rise. You're just teaching people. I'm like, nope. We need to teach them, and then we need to help them help them put it into action, and whatever that looks like for each person.
Yeah. Fantastic. Let's look a little bit further down our list here. I think we're running a little hot on time. How's your calendar look? Are you okay?
I'm good. Yes, I usually schedule an hour for these.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about some of the challenges that you're facing in the industry. For you in particular, insurance, local legislation. I got to get better at saying legislation.
Every day, 3 times in the mirror.
Yeah, exactly. So when you think about sort of the environment that you're working in, what are some of the big challenges that you're running into?
All right. I am a cash-based provider. And that limits me, right? So people are uncomfortable not using insurance models. So that's number one. I am a solo practitioner. So for me to take on everything that goes along with being an insurance acceptor, I'm choosing to not go down that path. We were just talking about it, making people aware enough and curious enough to have the conversation with me. You know, most of the time I do end up working with somebody when we start to talk, but I have not succeeded in getting people to raise their hand to that conversation. What else am I struggling with? Every state in our country does have a form of direct access. And in the world of physical therapy, what direct access means is you can go see a physical therapist without a physician or certain other medical providers writing a prescription. However, in Virginia, it's quite limited still. I can see you for 60 days, but then I also need to send my evaluation to the doctor of your choosing. And so we really don't quite have the autonomy that would be nice, because that adds one more layer of resistance for clients. Well, I just moved here. I don't have a doctor. Okay, what do we do about that? So there's a lot of creative problem solving. And some are like, I don't want my doctor to know I'm seeing you. And I'm like, okay, but it is Virginia law, you know? So those are some of the barriers that I'm experiencing.
Yeah. Do you find that that particular scenario, things like teledoc or, you know, sort of instant access to a doctor, is that helpful at all?
I don't know, because I've never been that provider.
Okay. Now I'm talking about the scenario where you have someone who says, I don't have a doctor, or I don't want my doctor to know. There's potential that they could just go on teledoc and see a doctor and have a conversation, right? And that puts the medical provider in the loop. Maybe it's not their primary care doctor, but it gets them the referral needed.
How quickly do you see the teledoc doc?
You can a lot of times see them the same day.
Oh, well, the good news is in the state of Virginia, I can see them for 60 days without the doc. I just have to send the doc of their choosing my evaluation. And that, I think, is supposed to be within 72 hours.
Got it. Okay. I'm curious about HSAs, and have you seen any sort of a change with HSAs and folks paying you with HSA dollars versus, and I don't even know if that's possible.
Yes, they can pay me with HSA dollars. And I just learned several months ago that, because I also do pain coaching. So people that are out of state or out of the country, I can do a coaching model. However, she was not able to use HSA funds for coaching, but because of circumstances that are legal, I was able to put it through as physical therapy. And so she was able to get refunded.
Interesting.
So I don't know why HSAs and FSAs don't accept coaching. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, totally. But as far as folks having to pay out of pocket, you know, a lot of times people may think, oh gosh, I don't have whatever the fee is to pay every week, and you know, they're not maybe thinking about their health savings account, right? Because
and I appreciate that, because I don't think I bring it up as an option often if ever, to be
Yeah.
honest. So I appreciate that from you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. With health savings accounts, there's a lot of advice out on the internet and other places, which I think is good advice, which is, load your health savings account, don't spend it. If you can afford to pay out of pocket, pay out of pocket. And so you start forgetting that you have that account there, right? And
interesting.
yeah. And so, yeah, it might be something for you to think about when you're talking.
I am going to noodle on that for sure. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think the last couple of things here, just sort of thinking about your business. Where are you looking for? What are you looking for in the future? Like next 2 to 5 years, as far as growth or areas that you want to move into, and what sort of KPIs do you track for your business?
You're funny. We're just going to leave that KPI thing right there.
Okay.
Bria is the woman who keeps me sane, so I would defer the KPI question to her. And
Okay.
Don't kick me off your podcast because I'm so clueless. In terms of growth, so the physical therapy, I don't want to grow much. I want it to grow a little bit because I want to be spending my time growing my coaching business and speaking and educating. So I'm trying to get bigger stages, more paid stages, and so that I can get this message out there. For me,
Right.
It is creating a ripple of knowledge and strategies that are tangible and usable. And those who need more, then you can find, whether it's me or find another pain science provider. So that's really where I want to be heading in the next 2 to 5 years. Actually, in the next 2 weeks to 5 years.
Got it.
Starting now.
Nice. So it sounds like you're really trying to scale yourself, right? And not necessarily growing your business through training other folks to provide the same services you do, and sort of building out a team that does that sort of work.
I don't think so. Not at this point. I'm often asked that question. I do love the word scale, though. Scale is my word for 2026.
Okay.
What I do want to scale is, I don't know if we talked about this the other day. So I have emerged from a contentious divorce that was in 2020-ish, whatever. And part of the way I emerged, it was by taking improv classes. Did we talk about that?
No, we didn't.
Oh my gosh. So I love improv. And so I had this dang light bulb moment like 3 or 4 months ago. I am now merging improv and pain science. So we know with the pain science, we learn through stories. We have 13 at least stories. Every week I do a story, and then we do improv games that complement that theme. Why improv? Well, because laughter, social connection, and movement are 3 of our evidence-based ways to reduce pain. And it is fun, and that is what I really want to scale. Right now, I'm only doing it in person, and I'm hoping to expand it to virtual workshops for corporations and just bigger, bigger, bigger.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's amazing. I love that. So I worked at a large software corporation for many, many years, and it's intense work. And there is physical and mental strain that happens from just high pressure, like way too much to do, right? You'll never actually be done at the end of a day. There's no chance. Right. And so it's constantly, managing priorities and putting out fires, and just like this chaotic cycle that keeps happening. And you see a lot of people just, they just inflate until they pop, and then they go get some therapy, and they go get their, the carpal tunnel fixed. And, there's all these like neck injuries and things, from just sitting at a computer all the time. And so you've got this hunched up, depressed, anxious, person at the end of this, I don't know, say 10 years. After 10 years of that, you're pretty rough.
Imagine we played together for 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
We played together and gave them strategies that they can use at their desk for 1 minute every hour, or 30 seconds on the half hour. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that corporations they're constantly looking for those things to integrate into an employee's sort of day or week or month or team building activity, or, offsite, quarterly offsite, like those kind of things are fantastic. And I think the pain management, mental health wrapped around comedy, I mean, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So if you got any people to connect me with at your former place, that'd be awesome. Okay. Can I be a word dork for a moment? Because I am a word dork. So we, the pain science geeks, we prefer to say we treat pain versus managing pain. Why is that? Think about when you have the flu. You treat the flu, it goes away. You might have it again, but you know what to do. Type 1 diabetes. We manage type 1 diabetes because it's not going away yet. Yeah. So that is a little strong mental shift though. I'm going to get pain treatment. I'm going to get pain management. How do they land when you hear each of those?
Yeah. It sounds like, I'm in this for the long haul versus, hey, I should expect some relief here, soon.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it sounds like you have just a ton of exciting things going on, and I really appreciate your focus on what you're doing. Right, you're not looking to just grow a giant company and train a bunch of clones to go do the same thing you do. You're really looking to go expand where your heart is and help more people, and that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think as we're coming to a close here, what are your top pain points in your business right now that you're dealing with that's sort of taking your time away from working with more patients?
The work to find the people to raise their hands, whether it's to build the physical therapy or the coaching or the speaking, like finding those opportunities, that is my bottleneck for sure. And many of us have tried many things. I have tried many things. So I have not cracked the code yet, but I want to.
Okay. Can you just restate that problem again? I'm not sure I'm grokking it.
Yeah. So people to contact me. Hey, I'd like to see you for physical therapy. Or can we have a conversation? Hey, I'm really struggling with pain. I've heard you're a good coach. Can we have a conversation? Because most of the time when we get to the conversation point, it goes well, and then we choose to work together. They choose to work with me. And then finding those speaker opportunities. I have people tell me all the time, your stuff will be great here and there. And you just had some great ideas too. I'm like, that's awesome. It hasn't come to fruition. And so I don't know what I'm missing in that finding those people and those opportunities part.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. It sounds like, sort of lead management and marketing, sort of even like a sales pipeline type issue that you're dealing with. You think in terms of a company that's trying to market a product and sell a product. They could be selling B2B or B2C and, struggling in one channel or another. Having solutions and people and, even AI agents that can go and do that type of work for you is something that could definitely help you out. And I would love to have a separate conversation with you about that, because I think that could be the thing you need that's not going to take a bunch of your time to go out and get done, right? There are agents and there are tools out there that can help with that.
Okay. I've had some of those conversations, but I'm curious to have another one with you and see where it goes.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah.
We'll just schedule, 30, 45 minutes and just kind of dig into it a little bit and see if there's anything, I can help with.
Yeah. I would absolutely appreciate that. I know I have the skill. I know I can help people. I really want to help people, but I'm having trouble finding the people or the people finding me.
Right. Yeah. Demand pipeline. Well, yeah, that's definitely something we should talk about setting up. Okay.
And
perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, Jen, it has been an absolute pleasure. Any parting comments? You talked about a product and website. You want to comment here?
Absolutely. I have something called the Pain Less Mini Toolkit, and that is a free version of, it's 6 cards, so to speak. It just has a concept and a little statement of how to do it. And then it will come along with an ebook just with the longer explanation of each of the cards. And then if that really gets you excited, there you could buy the full version on my website. My website is Uschold, USCHOLD.com. And then also, if any of you are curious to figure out why you still have pain after years or decades, I will also send you a link to sign up for a curiosity call, and let's see what we can learn.
That's awesome. Well, great. I'll pop all those links into the description of the meeting, and also pop them up on the screen here as well. So thanks so much, Jen. It is absolutely wonderful talking to you. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely. Me too. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Bye.